Hi there, folks. Welcome back to Rich Reviews. I hope you're enjoying your week. So, my latest TV show for you guys, I want to review for you now here is I Know This Much Is True, and this is based on Wally Lamb's best-selling book of the same name from 1998. It was also an Oprah Book of the Month Club selection. And at one point, early on, when trying to make this into a feature film, they originally were going to select Matt Damon. This was back in the early 2000s. But of course, like with all things, this languished in development hell, and the rights reverted back to Lamb, who suggested this become a miniseries. And given that this is HBO, which makes premium content, it seemed like a no-brainer. And Mark Ruffalo was chosen. And who would agree to take on this type of task? Well, Derek Centran, the man who I happen to love, plays Beyond the Pines. Everyone else knows him from Blue Valentine, which I've heard is really good, even though some people didn't care for it, or The Light Between the Oceans, which people really didn't like. And this is 6 episodes long, and Derek Centran directs all 6 episodes. He writes solely 4 episodes and co-writes 2 episodes of Ani Epstein. And this takes place in Three Rivers. I think it's Connecticut. I could be wrong. I apologize if I am wrong. It stars brothers Thomas and Dominic Birdsey, both played by Mark Ruffalo, in which they shot one brother's scenes first, which happens to be Dominic's. The director obviously let Mark Ruffalo pick out, cut his hair, lose his grooming regimen for his face, and voila, we got Thomas. These two brothers are more or less apart in every conceivable way, although they share the same sort of trauma. One, Thomas, is basically a paranoid schizophrenic, mentally ill, been in and out of mental hospitals for a better part of 20 some odd years. And Dominic, who's emotionally closed off, was married to Dessa, played by Catherine Hahn, who they keep dressing down Catherine Hahn for some apparent reason. And I guess Dominic is still in love with Dessa. They divorced because their child died of SIDS. I'd say now this is one of the more brilliantly acted miniseries that I've seen coming out of HBO. But this also is one of the more depressing miniseries that anyone has seen in a very long while, and that reflects, obviously, the source material. And I would also like to say right here and now, can we please stop rummaging through Oprah's bookshelf? Oprah's Book Club has largely been depressing stories, although I happen to like wild. As we see in the beginning, Thomas, who is a paranoid schizophrenic, as I said earlier, is trying to sacrifice himself. He wants to cut off his hand to prevent the Gulf War from happening, and through his own delusions. So first, Dominic allows them to not reattach the hand. But of course, this leads to Thomas having an extended stay at this mental institution where clearly Dominic is not happy about. Of course, this leads to 2 other people, one played by Rosie O'Donnell, who I think gives probably one of the best performances I've ever seen her at. Of course, in one scene, she says to Dominic, I can finally understand, with all your Sicilian blood, why you're so angry. Considering that she gets personally invested in Thomas's case, she's like, yes, I failed the most basic rule in social work. Don't get personally involved. We also meet Archie Brajabi, who plays the psychologist, also helping Thomas. When she meets Dominic, she realizes this brother is in serious need of help. Again, we also have the stepfather, Ray, played by John Perricone, and he's one of these guys that, yes, he was abusive back when the boys were young, and he's mellowed out somewhat considerably. But of course, there's also an underlying story here involving the mother and her secret that she's hiding about the boy's father. Now, if you read the novel, the secret does come out as to who Dominic and Thomas's father is. Quite frankly, if you think to yourself, oh, this is going to be one of the most dramatic versions of who this guy's father is, it's not. It's like, oh, really? That's interesting. But to those people who have not read the novel, they'll be sincerely let down. At least at one point, we're reading the memoir of Dominic's and Thomas's Sicilian grandfather, a man who has no moral values whatsoever, because this flashbacks take up a better part of an episode, and he does some considerably awful, misguided things, And at least at one point, we're seriously teasing the idea that, oh yeah, he might have impregnated his daughter himself. There's also one very weird subplot involving Imogen Poots, who has a relationship with Dominic, but that just automatically disappears, and if you read the novel, you'll see the dark fate that awaits her. Also, we meet Juliette Lewis, who I guess is... I don't know what Juliette Lewis is really doing here, because she comes in, disappears, and comes in, disappears again. I know how people often accuse Derek Sanfran of not having an ending, because this thing more or less ends. And I guess the Wally Lamb novel ends up on a much more upbeat note. This just sort of has, okay, we're just ending it here. When Ruffalo is acting with himself, it's relatively seamless. There are a couple of moments, I think, in the beginning where I'm like, yes, clearly it's a double, but otherwise it's seamless. The twin actors playing the younger brother set of twins, and then there's the college-age boy that actually is doubling himself. So if you're looking for something to watch and you think to yourself, okay, I'm sick of the coronavirus, what can make me more depressed? Well, I can grant you this series will make you want to take a shower even further. So folks, I know this much is true. Have you seen this? What did you think? Please put everything in the comment box below here, folks. As always, folks, like, comment, subscribe, rate yourself of knowledge. I'll see you next time, folks. Yes, hooray.